I was a kid, I used to watch a show. It was called The Jeffersons. And it was about a poor couple that had opened dry cleaners, and then through that process they had gotten rich, and so they wanted to move uptown, and the title song says "To a Deluxe Apartment in the Sky," and just a story about people moving on up. It makes me also think about once when I was in the training unit, and we were actually in the academy in a little small office that we had, just cubicles, and it was very tight and very difficult to have conversations. And a building came open, or was getting ready to come open, that lawyers were in. They were going to move to a different building. And I found that out, and so I went to one of the people that were in authority, and I just asked them, I said, well, what's going to happen with that building? And they looked at me and they said, well, would you like to go into it? I said, well, yeah. And they said, well, when the lawyers move out, just move in. And so I said, well, shouldn't I get something in writing? And they said, no. Said, I'm just telling you, when they move out, you just move in. And so that's what we did. And I was a little bit skeptical the whole time. I told my staff that day after the lawyers moved out, I said, grab your books and your pencils and pens, and we're marching up the hill, and we're going to go occupy this building that's up here. And we went in, and it worked out. We stayed there until it was time for me to retire. So we realized that sometimes moving up actually can be certainly a good thing. Well, my name is Richard Coleman, and I'm the pastor at Shepherd Church of the Nazarene in Lexington, South Carolina, and it's great to spend just a few moments with you today. I really like the Old Testament, especially the Old Testament stories about people and the decisions that they make. I've been looking at the life of Moses. Let me back up there. The life of Joseph. I'm jumping ahead. I haven't got to Moses yet. The life of Joseph and how he was sold into slavery and then ended up becoming Pharaoh's number 2 man, and how he was able, through God's help, to predict that there was going to be a famine in the land, and all the things that he could do in order to make that come out in a good way. And God was able to use Joseph, and he was able to get his family that was in Canaan and get them grain so that they would be able to survive. After Joseph met his family again, his brothers and his dad, he told them, he said, I would like for you guys to come to Egypt. He said, there's going to be 5 more years of famine. And he said, if you come here, I can take care of you. You won't starve to death, and life will be good. And he told his dad, he said, when you come to Egypt, he said, I will give you the best of everything. Pharaoh had even given permission, said, you find the very best land and you give it to them. And when I look at that and I realize all that that Jacob had been through, which was Joseph's dad, everything that he had been through in life and all the disappointments and heartaches that he had here at the end of his life, he's being rewarded and just giving the best of everything that Egypt has to offer. And it makes me think about our life today. I don't know what's going on in your life, but with so many people, there are just things that are happening. It could be family relationships, it could be work, it could be finances. I mean, it could just be a multitude of things. But most people have issues that they have to deal with, and sometimes you just want to throw your hands up and say, what's the use? And I'm confident that Joseph's dad, Jacob, had been through that many, many times. But now he's at the place where he's getting this reward. And God has a reward for all Christians. God wants us to be able to come and live with him one day, to be in heaven, to enjoy the best of the best. And I think it's something that we can look forward to, and whenever we're going through tough times, to realize that this is just a transitional period. Someone reminded me the other day of kind of a saying that I've used my whole life. They told me they actually repeated it to somebody, and that is that when a situation occurs, I like to ask myself, this time next week, or this time next month, or this time next year, how much of a difference is this really going to make? And whenever I look at it that way, I realize that most things that seem problematic or just creating issues in my life, I realize they really are not as dramatic or as important as I might first think that they are. Jesus said, He said, I go and prepare a place for you. That's pretty exciting to realize that Jesus realizes that, hey, life can be tough here, but that's all right. There is a reward, and Jesus is preparing that for us. The Apostle Paul, whenever he was talking to Timothy, a young minister that had just started out into the ministry, he said this. He said, keep a close watch on how you live and on your teaching. Stay true to what is right for the sake of your own salvation and for the salvation of those who hear you. You see, we have a reward. God wants us to be in heaven, but He also wants us to be an example and a light for people around us so that they might be able to get that reward also. Do remember that whenever Jacob went to Egypt, he took all of his family with him. And that's maybe a reminder that we need to be the example that we should be to our family and to our friends. Well, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you. May you truly be the example and the light that God would have you to be this week. Thanks for taking the time and viewing today.